Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to service a generator. We're going to go through replacing a spark plug, changing the oil, and putting a brand new air filter in this guy so he's all ready for camping season. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over the tools we need to get this done. Let's take a look. All right, so the first thing that we're going to need here is a replacement air filter, and I'm going to link all of the cross-reference part numbers for the air filter, the spark plug, the oil, all into the video here so you guys have that as a resource. So I've got my replacement air filter here, I've got my spark plug, and in this case I'm using an NGK BPR5ES spark plug. I've got some 540 motor oil. Now, one thing to keep in mind is for this generator, Honda recommends using 1030. With the environment that I'm in here, I'm going with a 5-weight 40 because, again, we use these things in -40 up to +40, so this is a better range of oil for me. I've got a ratchet with a 10mm socket. I have got my spark plug wrench to remove my socket. I've got a flat bladed screwdriver so that I can get into the generator compartment, and then I've got a catch container for my oil here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ratchet with my 10mm socket. What I've done is I've actually put the generator up on dollies, and I like having it up on these dollies here because I can move it around a little bit and reposition it, and also it gives me a little bit of additional height underneath here so that when I start draining the oil, it's not just going to all spill onto the ground level here. It gives me some room to get my pan underneath. Now, to help with that, what I've got here is a 2x4, and I'm actually going to put this 2x4 under this side of the dolly to tip the generator just a little bit so that we can get all that oil out. So that's what I'm going to do next here. Just like that. Okay, now I'm going to come on over to this side here. I'm going to open up this compartment, and here we can see I have access to my oil bung. Now, another thing that I've done here is I've actually put down an oil absorbent mat, and that's going to just to help get any little drips that might come running over here. But hopefully this wonderful little spigot here is going to help drain everything that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this on here, and I want to go ahead and just crack the plug loose first. Okay, now I know it's finger tight. I'm going to get my drain pan underneath here as best I can, and we're going to try not to make a mess over everything. Maybe like this. Let's try that. Okay, and here we go. All right, perfect. And we're just going to let that drain. Now, one thing that might help with this is I let the generator run for probably about 4 or 5 minutes just to get the oil good and warm so it would flow better. This generator holds about 5.5, no, that's incorrect. This generator holds about a half a liter of oil. So for you Americans, that's going to be about half a quart, I think, something like that. So it's not a ton of oil in here, but we want to make sure we get it out. And we can just see from how black this oil is that, yeah, it's definitely time for an oil change here. So we're going to let this drain out. I also want to take a quick look at my oil plug here, make sure there's nothing on the threads. This thing looks good and clean. Give it a quick wipe on the corner here. I've got my washer in place, so this will be ready for reinstallation here once this is done draining. In the meantime, while this is draining, what I want to do is I'm going to take my flat screwdriver here. I'm going to open up the side of the generator here, and Honda's done a great job of engineering these things to be really simple. And this component here is what I want to get at next. This little guard is where my spark plug's hidden in behind, okay? So this is a flat / Phillips style screw here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this cover off, and then that's gonna give me access to my spark plug. Yeah, okay. All right, so right here, this is my spark plug wire, and this is what I have to get access to. So that's what that little cover was guarding. So again, this is going to be really warm because the generator has just been running, but I'm going to grab the end of the spark plug cap, pull that off, and there we go. Now I've got access to my spark plug right in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my spark plug wrench and my tool that came with my generator, and I'm going to pop that spark plug out of here. And there is our spark plug. So if you actually take a look, we've got a nice brown tip on here. This spark plug is still actually in pretty good shape, but again, as preventative maintenance, I'm gonna replace it anyway, but I'll probably hang on to this one here for a spare. Yeah, if we can take a look here, here's our comparison between our new and our old spark plug. We're gonna go ahead and put our new one in here. Now, once I get this spark plug so that it contacts this washer, all we do is give it about another half a turn. That's it, that's what Honda calls for. So that's what we're gonna do next. Again, I like to get this started with my fingers first, just because I don't want to tighten it down with a wrench, because I don't want to strip anything in here. So again, you gotta just kind of get a feel for where that spot is. And once you start turning it in, there you go. Now I've got the threads here. Once you feel it start to bite like that, now you can go all the way. Now I'll take my tool here, put it on the end, and I'll start tightening it down with that. And again, I'm going to go to the point to where it contacts here. Once I feel it snug, right there, I'm going to take my wrench, put it on the end, and about another half a turn or so. And we should be good. And sometimes you might just have to pop this tool off, reposition it just a little bit. There we go. Just a little bit more for good measure here, and then we're going to be able to move on to the next part. There we go. Perfect, right there. Excellent. Now I'm going to take my spark plug cap here. I'm going to push it back on top here, and you're going to hear a little click, click. Once you hear that, you know you got it. Okay, so now to put this back in, I've got a little tab up here. This tab is going to get reinserted up here first, and this screw is going to align right back in that hole again. Once I've got it in there, it can only fit one way. I know I've got it. I'm going to get this good and snug. Perfect, now our spark plug's all done. So the oil is almost done draining. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to replace the air filter here. So in order to do that, I've got to come into this compartment. There's going to be 4 tabs, okay? And I got to first of all go and pop up all 4 of those tabs. And of course, the one in the very back is going to be the hardest to get. I like to take a screwdriver and just push down on it like that. And that's going to release the door. Now, again, everything's really compact in here, so you kind of have to manhandle the door out just a little bit. But this will pop out. And once you've got the door out, that's going to give you access to your air filter. So again, if I pull this air filter out, you guys can see this thing's actually in really good shape. I got a little dirty spot about over here, but beyond that, it's actually pretty darn clean here. So I'm going to place the old one aside. I'm going to open up my brand new one. And if I put them side by side, you can kind of see the difference here, right? The new one's a little more vibrant, a little more green, not as dirty. So we're going to go and reinstall this one here. So again, the pleats are going to face out when I put this in. And I want to make sure I get that gasket seated nicely in there, just like that. Okay. On my cover, you can see where I've got this outline here. This has got to line back up with the filter. So I'm going to go from the top here, and I'm going to try to just push this guy right back into place here. It's always that bottom section that's going to be the hardest to fit in. Sometimes you can stick your hand in here between the insulation, kind of work it around just a little bit, but it should pop back into place eventually. Yep, just like that. So you can see I've got my seal here. Now I'm going to go and flip my clips. 1, 2, I'm going to get number 3 here. There's 3. And now I'm going to take my screwdriver and I'm going to flip it up, and there's number 4. All right, so now I've got all my clips sealed. So that's our air filter done. Now I'm going to close this side back up here, lock it up. All right, the last thing we have to do now, refill this unit with oil. All right, so as I was saying before, Honda calls for 1030 synthetic in these generators. I'm going to be running a 540. And again, I know there's a lot of debate out there in terms of, well, hey, what's the best oil to run for a generator? The bottom line is this thing's a Honda, okay? I could probably put rocks in the motor and this thing will still run without any issues. Again, you want to make sure you're just picking a good synthetic oil that's going to fit your use case scenario. All right, so what I want to do now is I can see that my oil's done draining. I'm going to take my oil plug. I'm going to thread it back into place here. Okay, and once I get it finger tight and it contacts here, now I'm going to take my ratchet and I want to just tighten this up with my ratchet here. And again, just snug. Perfect. I'm going to call that good right there. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my dipstick here. All right, and now I've got my dipstick out. I'm just going to put that off to the side here. And now I can insert my funnel, which I want to make sure I've cleaned off first. And now I can start to refill this unit with oil. But also, you got to remember, take that little prop that you had on there off earlier, and you want to make sure your generator's sitting level when you do this so that you can get an accurate amount of oil in. Now remember, this generator holds about 550 milliliters of oil. So if I take a look at my oil container here, I have all my markings on the side here, all right? So for me, this container holds 946 milliliters of oil. If I'm going by Honda spec, if I get down to about 400 left in here, then that means I should have about 550 in the generator. I should be good. I'm probably going to be a little conservative and go between 450 and 500, just because I know there's still going to be just a little bit of old oil left in here. I can always top it up to where I need to have it later. I've inserted my dipstick. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it out here and take a look, and I can see that I've got oil right here in my hash marks. It's clear, so it's a little tough to see because it's fresh oil, but I can see that I've got it here on my finger. I know I'm good to go, and I can verify that by just looking at the side of my oil container and see how much I actually put in. All right, so now we've got the air filter changed. We've got a brand new spark plug in here. We've got clean, fresh oil. Now it's time for the moment of truth. Let's fire this thing up, see if it runs. Perfect, just like that, it fires right up. Purrs like a kitten. All right, so it was just that easy to be able to change our own oil, put a fresh spark plug in this thing, and a brand new air filter. We are all ready for camping season now, and we don't have to worry about trying to repair this thing when we're in a campground in the middle of the night. So folks, if you found the video helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel. It makes a huge difference for me. Hit that like button, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.